So you got a website, but you're not really sure where to send the traffic or how to send the traffic. There's so much information out there. Who's right? Who's wrong? What's the best way possible? Well, I'm going to talk about 5 effective ways to drive traffic to your website. So make sure you stay tuned to today's podcast. What's happening? It's Dale here, and I'm just tickled to death. You took a little bit of time out your day to spend a little bit of time with me to talk about my favorite thing in self-publishing. Hey, today's the podcast broadcast, if you will, is sponsored again by the fine folks of Author Brand Kits. I'm so tickled to death that they are going to spend some time with me all for a little bit. So thank you so much to our sponsors, Author Brand Kits. They're the done-for-you service that will set up your website. They will set up your customized email. They'll set up your email marketing as well as your social media. It is turnkey operation. So if you're an author that really needs to see about expanding your platform and becoming a bit more available and discoverable online, you may want to take a look at Author Brand Kits when you visit dalelinks.com/ABK. That's Author Brand Kits, ABK, dalelinks.com/ABK. There's a link inside the show notes as per usual. All right, so effective ways to drive traffic to your website. Now, I could be talking to authors as well as online entrepreneurs in today's podcast. So if you haven't been an online entrepreneur, you're looking to really gain a little bit more traction, especially through your website, you need to consider some of these viable ways. But before we jump into that, why can't we just run paid ads? The issue when you do paid ads, let's say you go through Google ads or YouTube ads of some sort, you're going to invest a substantial amount of money. Now, if you don't know the platform very well, chances are very likely you're going to end up driving the wrong type of traffic, and it's going to send the wrong type of signals to search engine algorithms. So what ends up happening is you invest a lot and you might lose quite a bit in the process. Not to mention that, let's say you've drove traffic of 1,000, maybe 10,000 per week. Prior to that, you were getting 100 visitors per week. Okay, so you've seen this huge bump in traffic, but the problem is, as soon as you take that investment away, as soon as you stop doing ads, that stuff slows down to a crawl again. So figure out when you're going into any kind of paid ads, what's the end goal? Can you afford to lose your investment? And how do you plan on capitalizing on the attention that you get from those paid ads? And I want you to also think about that for the next ways that I'm going to tell you about. Now, I'm not telling you about paid ads. You want to go see another expert about when it comes to doing Google ads or things like that. What I'm going to tell you is 5 effective ways to drive traffic to your website. And it requires very little upfront investment, if anything at all, which that's great. It's got a long-term payoff, but you've got to have a few things in place. And I'll share that at the very end of the broadcast here. So let's start it off with number 1. The number 1 effective way to drive traffic to your website, in my opinion, is going to be self-publishing books. If you do not have a book, I would highly recommend you publish a book now. Why is that? It's free advertising. So take, for example, in my book, Secrets of the Perma-Free Book, I discuss how you can publish an ebook for free across all platforms. So that way, readers that don't know of you yet can be able to get introduced to you for no cost up front. And so by having that free ebook across a ton of platforms, it's a way that you can advertise your website. Now, where should this be? Where should you get it? So we got the book. You're like, okay, Dale, I went out and I published my book. How are they going to drive traffic over to my website? I'm glad you asked that. So where are you going to place it? Your website is going to be in your bio, which is going to be in the back of the book. You're going to also want to consider email marketing opt-ins. So if for some reason you have an email marketing account like MailerLite, MailChimp, SendFox, any of those number of ones, get it to where you have an email marketing opt-in at the beginning of your book and at the end of your book. And when I say beginning of your book, we're talking like copyright page. Because the thing is, in a lot of platforms, including places like Amazon and places like Barnes and Noble, they will have a sample of your ebook to offer to the public to go ahead and read. They'll look inside, if you will. And when someone looks inside, if you've got an offer to join your email marketing newsletter, or you're going to probably say my email newsletter or my readers club or something else like that, someone doesn't have to buy your book in order to use that link. They can be able to just go. Now, in the event, for some reason or another, you're like, Dale, I want to do email marketing, screw email marketing, I don't want to do it. No. At least, at the very least, put a call to action that says, visit my website for more great info like is inside this book. So if you're a nonfiction author or a fiction author, if you would like to get deeper insights into my writing process as a fiction author, visit xyz.com. Anytime I say that, just insert your link. All right. That was way number one. Books. It's a simple one. By the way, you can do it in ebooks, you can do it in print books, and you can do it in audiobooks. What I would recommend is you don't have a messy website URL that you got somewhere to send people and they will land on it. For instance, I will just put mine in, selfpublishingwithdale.com. That simple. Number two way. The number two effective way. This is probably the most effective. It sounded like I said number one on the last one. It wasn't the top one. This is an order of no importance, by the way, here, folks. Blogging, aka otherwise known as weblog. Okay, so with blogging, it could be any number of things. From, if you're a nonfiction author, well, lean more into your expertise and create small digestible chunks of blogs that will increase your discoverability. Because here's the thing is, with a blog, anytime you publish that, it's going to send signals to search engine algorithms that are doing a crawl throughout each one of the websites. And so the more that you start to publish and plug away any type of blogs on your websites, the more it's going to build relevancy within your given niche. And it will also increase organic traffic, because at the end of the day, organic traffic is awesome. It is a great thing. You're going to love it. Trust me on this. We're going to do a deeper dive in next week's podcast where we're going to talk more about blogging, more at the very end here. But what about active promotion? Because we can't just simply say, let's just blog and call it a day, because that part works. But let's try to at least be proactive and send traffic of our own. And that's going to come by way of social media. Now, some people are going to love Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, or in some instances, YouTube. It doesn't matter the specific platform that you're utilizing. But what I would say is, on social media, it's a great way to send traffic on over that you're essentially able to kind of build on your own, build your following, attract your tribe over on social media. But part of social media in optimizing this, so that way you're driving more traffic to your website, put your link to your website in your profile. Now, any profiles, for instance, if you're on Instagram, your profile, you only got a certain amount of space you can kind of do it in. So in the event you've got multiple links that you would like to share, look into some services out there. Linktree, you can get 100% free. There's a few others, just Google them on up. I use Linktree myself and I've been very, very happy with it. And it actually tracks some of the clicks and things like that. They have a premium service. I've yet to actually invest in them. So worth it. But if you're going to utilize social media, for sure, get it to where your profile is all dialed in. And wherever you might be at, it might require a reminder to people every now and then. Hey, for all things about, I don't know, Werebear Shapeshifter romance novels, go visit me at xyz.com. And that will be, of course, your website. So it doesn't hurt to repeat yourself. And speaking of doing links, I kind of felt like this one's cheating a little bit, since it does technically count as social media, but I feel like this bears its own little category. So number 4 is YouTube and video creation. So any type of videos that you're publishing. YouTube is my favorite for good reason. I've actually utilized a number of live streaming platforms and even pre-recorded platforms, and I found YouTube is the best when it comes to being discovered through avenues like Google or even YouTube's algorithm. The thing I would say is, take your website slip it into your about section. I know I already said put it into your profile, but you're going to put it inside your about section. The next thing is, if you have a YouTube channel, you should be able to put in a website link URL that will be inside your channel banner on your landing page. In most instances, I recommend holding off and sending people off of the platform if you're new to YouTube. Because if you're new to YouTube and you've got less than 1,000 subscribers, I would recommend driving people over to YouTube and growing that. And as soon as that's grown to a certain size, then you can start to probably link out through your channel banner. But if I see it on your channel banner now, I'm not going to think anything less of you, because your main goal is to drive more traffic over to a website. So if YouTube growing that is not as important as your website, totally fine. Slip your link into your video descriptions. Super simple. Here's another little one here. If you comment first, as soon as the video goes out, you can pin your comment, put a link to your website. Again, super simple, something that people can discover right away. What I would recommend is keep some type of continuity in how you put it worded out. So if you have it a certain way worded with some emojis and such like that and a link, take that same one and put it down into the pinned comment, and try to keep it to where that link is towards the top of your video description. So that way when people are scrolling down, they see it twice. And so instantly their eye is going to be drawn down to that pinned comment and goes right over to your website. It also bears worth in visiting here that verbal recognition, building awareness by saying your website enough times. Hey, what's happening? I'm Dale L. Roberts, and my website's selfpublishingwithdale.com. Or I can say something like, today's broadcast is brought to you by selfpublishingwithdale.com. More about that when you go on over and visit it. I'd love it if you did that. So verbal recognition, or even a simple call to action. So it could be visit xyz.com for all things whatever, whenever, or check out my latest blog about XYZ. Link is inside the description. So there's many ways you can do this. All right, blazing forward. Man, you can tell I'm real excited about these things here. The fifth one, this is the most exciting of them. And this is going to require you stepping outside your comfort zone. And I say this a lot. It's going to be interviews and appearances. The more visible you can be, the more of a unfair advantage you have on other authors that aren't very visible. Now, you probably saw, okay, gosh darn it, Dale, you said YouTube and video, but now you're saying interviews and appearances. Yes, separate from that, from you appearing on your own YouTube channel, going and getting yourself in front of your ideal audience. The very tough part about this, though, is figuring out where that's at. It's just as simple as a Google search. Your niche plus the word podcast or YouTube channel or blog. Things like that. Search it on up. Do your due diligence. Go in, study the podcast or YouTube channel or website. Figure out if it's going to be a good fit for you. Do they often have guests on their podcast? If so, then maybe reach out to them. If you don't hear them having too many guests, chances are very likely you might be barking up the wrong tree. You don't want to be doing that and wasting your time. Go to only people that are willing to take on guests. I've recommended this time and again, and I'm not paid to say this, nor have they ever been a sponsor, or I even know the people over there. Podcastguests.com. You want to get some podcast bookings? Subscribe to their free service. Honestly, I did their premium service and I've used their free service. I had the same results with both. So I just went ahead and stuck with free from that point on. I've landed quite a few interviews with this. The problem is you're going to get an email on Mondays and Thursdays. First of all, as soon as it comes out, you need to see about getting to it, because there's 30,000 people on the email list to different podcasts and podcasters and podcastees. So there's a lot of applications going in at the same time. Make sure that you respond right away. The next thing is you're going to need to see about scrolling all the way down to the bottom and find all the podcasts. And then you got to kind of sift through each one of those podcasts to make sure, is it a good fit or is it not a good fit? I've had some dry spells where I haven't seen a good podcast for right about, 3 to 4 weeks at a time, but it only takes 2 seconds of my time to just scroll right through that email. Every now and then, if I see something that's good for a friend of mine, I'll just copy the link and I'll send it on over to them. Have a press kit ready. If you want to land interviews and appearances, one of the most important things is to be as professional as possible when you're approaching some of these folks. And being professional means having a press kit of sorts. This press kit is going to include everything from your headshot, a short bio, any relevant info about you and your business. And most importantly, a link to your website. Of course, you need to have a link to your website. That's another way to indirectly do that. Now, this is the part you need to pay closest attention to when it comes to interviews and appearances. Find out what you can or cannot promote before you go there. Say, hey, is it okay if I promote my website? Is it okay if I promote my book? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, yeah, no problem. And the other time will probably be like, hey, I don't really want to have anybody selling their stuff. I would tell you about 100% of the time, if you just ask to push your website, they will probably say no problem. So make sure as you wrap up any type of interview or appearance, you should automatically say, if you'd like a little bit more information, go visit, insert your website. So mine would be, go visit selfpublishingwithdale.com. I do this in every interview so many times, and I've seen authors mess this up as well as entrepreneurs. They will go into these interviews, blah, 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 yakety schmackety, and they kill it, and they leave it up to the host to try to lead them into saying their website. That's not up to them. It's up to you. You need to be the person that actually guides that conversation and gets it to where you finish out and make the last thing people remember your website. So that way they at least go there. And the other problem I see is too many links. You shouldn't go, check me out on Instagram at Sellpub with Dale and TikTok at Sellpub with Dale. Scratch your head, rub your belly, call your mom, send some chocolates to your neighbor. No. One thing. Visit selfpublishingwithdale.com. It's got all the information that you're going to need. If you want to find out a little bit more about me, there it's right there. That's all people need to know. Don't go through 50 different links. It's just ridiculous, especially if you're wanting to drive and increase traffic. I got a final note that we're going to kind of wrap up today's podcast. But before we do get into that, I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to our return sponsors of Author Brand Kits. Definitely appreciate you folks over there helping things on out, keeping and paying for the overhead costs. Folks, if you want to get your website, your social media, your email marketing, and everything else done for you, turnkey as possible, go over visit Author Brand Kits, and that's dalelinks.com/author brand kits, ABK. And again, dalelinks.com/ABK. There is a link inside the description down below. All right, final note. So we discussed these different avenues, the 5 ways: books, blogging, social media, video, and interviews. What's going to be the thing that's going to drive the most traffic to your website? There's not going to be any one thing that does that. It's going to be an accumulation of all those things. And the most important thing is going to be consistency. Consistency is key. If you want to really get traffic over to your website, you have to continue applying yourself to those 5 avenues, at least one of those 5 avenues consistently. If you want to see organic traffic coming in, if you want more traffic going to your website. And the other thing is, know your audience and speak to their needs. Because if you know your audience and speak to their needs, wherever you're at on those 5 different avenues, and even on your website, it's going to be very clear to a person when they land on your website, this is for me, or this is not for me. We obviously want to repel those that isn't their thing. They don't vibe with us. And we want to attract those that do. So again, know your audience, speak to their needs, and they will come. Next week, we're going to be doing a deep dive into how to do search engine optimization for blog posts. This is blogging for authors. And if you happen to be entrepreneurs as well, it's going to be very helpful. I'm going to give you some insights that's going to change things. Blogging isn't what it used to be, but it can still be very, very much a lucrative opportunity, and especially something for exposure and gaining more traffic over in your website. So make sure you tune in to very next week's podcast. Hey, subscribe or follow me to your, yeah, that's easy for me to say. Subscribe or follow me on your preferred podcast platform and leave a review or a comment if you happen to be watching on the new YouTube channel. That's at dalelinks.com/YouTube podcast. Till later, thank you much for tuning in, and I will see you folks next week.